Honestly, I can't believe that we just now have gotten a emo or post-hardcore, any kind of punk band named Anxious, but here we are finally. This debut record, Little Greenhouse, has pretty much everything, including the kitchen sink of the hardcore or just punk emo playbook, and it's wonderful, and it's done with just perfect precision and love for all those encompassing genres that fall under the umbrella of post-hardcore. This album is just riddled with the effortless feeling of turmoil, contemplation, and some nostalgia. And dare I say, laced with anxiously riddled energy that just goes throughout the entire record, crafted precisely with influences ranging from a dash of Pavement, clear love for Jimmy World, and probably a decent appreciation for Dance Gavin Dance and all of its iterations. There's just kind of this young post-hardcore arms race going on right now for the past couple years. And these guys are just kind of adding to the hype train that's just going full steam ahead. Really quick, I want to add that vocalist Grady Allen and guitarist Ryan Svitsky switched places in a band called One Step Closer that is more of a melodic hardcore band, kind of like the perfect reiteration of peak Rise Against, like a perfect replacement for anything that you want to sound like Songs for the Counterculture or Suffer and Witness. Their debut record, This Place You Know, came out last year, and I kind of completely forgot about it before I started paying attention and cataloging all the music I listened to last year, and I regret not putting it in my top 50 list. You should just check it out if you remotely like anything on this record. That being said, the emo here is way, way, way more influential and just sprawling across the board. It's delightful and really kind of just catches you off guard no matter how many times you heard it. It has that sense of nostalgia, but there's like no sense of that angst or dread or woe is me sensibilities of a younger, less cohesive band that's just kind of lashing out and putting itself together. These guys really know what they want. There's the sense of longing is just ubiquitous on every single song on this record. For prosperity's sake, there was a couple records last year that I would lump this into as just really good post-hardcore fusion albums that if you liked last year should be enough without any other part of my review to go ahead and check it out. See You Space Cowboys last record, even Deerhoof, even though it just kind of feels the same but not necessarily the same execution at all. And also, I didn't really get around to talk about it, but if you liked the World Is a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die record from last year, this is right up that alley, but I think so much more immaculately put together and painstaking paying attention to detail of just all of its roots and influences, and just they really just kind of took the book on how to write an emo core or a post-hardcore or a very nostalgic driven pop punk melodic hardcore album and just wrote their name on top, just Anxious, and it's like, no, this is our book now. It doesn't matter. This is ours. You can't have it. And it's so good. It's so immaculately just like strung together. It really is. Even every song is kind of seamlessly transitioning to the other. It is 10 songs, 30 minutes, and you almost can't tell if you're not paying attention because it's so perfectly feels like one song traveling through all of this. And it's so good. It's different than other transitions. It's just like that. The transitions are seamless and it's really cool to see. I really do like the opener a whole lot. Your One Way Street is more of that like nostalgic longing Dance Gavin Dance kind of style, but it's not as sporadic or clustery. It has a driving focus. It really makes you feel for a place that you used to belong to that's you can't get back to, and it's kind of overpowering for just, a misfit 30s white guy, I guess. But honestly, In April is like the perfect example of everything this album has to offer in one song. And that's not to say that it's the only good highlight at all, but it perfectly encapsulates the longingness that is just soaked in this record. It is more about a remorse or contemplation of past mistakes or desires, wish fulfillment of life situations, and maybe some overdramatic poetic ideals about what the future holds. But when you think of just very driving, hard-hitting, fast-paced emo post-hardcore blend. It kind of can't get any better, especially the pacing. The pacing is just so uncompromising throughout the whole record. For me, in a personal nostalgic sense, I think of like Silverstein or Funeral for a Friend. And that's not even to say that they necessarily sound like those bands as much as what I brought up earlier, some Dance Gavin Dance, and definitely just maybe lyrically and the catchiness of it, of the Jimmy World at their best. But while all of it does have a nostalgia twinge to it, it also just feels like a place you've never been before. Not really. It is that emotional driving force, I think, of growing emo culture kids, where it's like they know that the place that they're longing for wasn't as good as they think it was. And that's part of the melancholia. That's part of the longing of I still haven't found my place. So there are some biases here, I guess, because it's so hard to really pick a problem. If I had to like really be overly critical or negative about anything, it's Wayne, which is the 2 minute kind of required serenading, sentimental, semi-acoustic lullaby that, every kind of pop punk melodic hardcore album has to sort of have, like it's pre-mandated. But even then, it's better than most of the others off of other albums remotely similar to this. Like, it's more or less just not my thing overall to want to go back and listen to a song like Wayne. But given the choice between it and all the other, like, sappy remembrance acoustic tracks on any other kind of record, I'd pick this one 9 times out of 10. Songs like the Growing Up song and Let Me have just that drowning layer of gang vocals and rounding choruses that I personally am super addicted to in punk and hardcore music. I just am a sucker for a whole bunch of dudes singing together, sounding, wishing for better days. The screams to me are like those perfect, crystal clear, sharp, but still semi guttural yells that I think are prime post hardcore screams that you want. They're crystal clear and understandable, and it makes it more accessible. I'm not very much about the cluttery sporadicness if it doesn't fit the music. I don't think you want old school Converge screams on tracks like these. But also, they're only used sparingly. They're not ever the driving force, so that might tack off for some people, depending on what you're looking for in a semi-hardcore record. The screams are only on like 3 songs. You When You're Gone is the closer, and it's extremely devastating. They bring in female vocals, which I couldn't really find the singer, and I wish I knew who she reminded me of. Because the thoughts that come to me initially over and over is the lead singer from Hop Along, Francis Quinlan, but not nearly as raspy. But there's something in that like haunting soft emotion in the vocals here that just like take me back to that, but it's somebody else, and I feel bad for not trying to figure out who they remind me of, but it's definitely something. I guess the closest, pulling something out of a hat is the latest World Is a Beautiful Place, No Longer Afraid to Die record. That dynamic is there, and it is sobering and sombering, and it's a great ender. It really is. This whole record is virtually flawless, feels very effortless. I'm going to be rude, I guess, because it is still emo post hardcore with no invention to it. That sounds like really big dig. But sometimes, me personally, it's just trying to be some kind of like rational reviewer, and that even the absolute best version of a 20-year-old style is still not going to be like a 10 out of 10 flawless whatever, because I'm trying to think overall of an album. But it's an 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. It's a solid, like, you should go check this out, 8 out of 10. Maybe 9 out of 10 for its genre. It's so much promise, but it still feels very young and juvenile in the sense of there just really feels like there's going to be so much more growth. Like, again, when you get a debut record this good, it's hard to tell. It's like, is this the best they've got, or they've got so much more? And I really love it. The 10 songs, 7 of them I'll listen to over and over and over again. I only don't care for Wayne. Afternoon is good, but it's after a while I'm like, oh, what else we got? And then More Than a Letter is just fine. It's just fine. That is doesn't matter. I don't know. It's just I want to go back and listen to this record again. Like, all right, I'm done. Thank you. Now I'm gonna put this back on because I've heard it 4 times and I'm not done with it. Really, it keeps growing and growing. I think it started like a 6.5 and it just kept getting more and more. So who knows where it will be by the end of the year? Maybe. That's just how I feel. It's like it's just feels like it wants to attach to you. That it's giving you so much of itself, and that's cool. So thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe. Give me your thoughts on it as always. Thank you for listening and have a good night.